Hello, good evening and welcome to the last bulletin for the day. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll bring you the very latest news across the country and elsewhere in Africa. You can follow our live stream on our Facebook page, TV3GH, and also on our website, 3news.com. Let's begin with today's news summaries. Residents around flood-prone areas are calling on the AMA to do more to bring lasting solutions to flooding in the capital. Their calls follow the release of a list of safe havens by the AMA to provide safety during heavy rain. And the Accra Metropolitan Assembly says it is taking assessment of the flooding situation within the metropolis. It has therefore dispatched personnel to desal choked drains caused by Monday's night's downpour. And President Akufo-Addo and Paul Kagame of Rwanda have suggested a change of mindset and a paradigm shift in ways of doing business in Africa and in countries across Africa to promote effective economic transformation. At a panel discussion of the 2018 African Transformation Forum in Accra, the leaders agreed a partnership between government and private sector is also key to enhancing transformation of the continent. Four juveniles found guilty of gang raping a teenage girl at the Bantama suburb of Kumasi have been handed a 36-month correctional sentencing. The minors will serve their terms in a senior correctional center in Accra. Those were our major news highlights. Remember, you can follow our live stream on Facebook and hear us live on 3FM 92.7. Up next is The Big One. Welcome back. Now, the Environmental Protection Agency says it will institute punitive actions against users of rickety vehicles whose activities contribute to air pollution in the country. This is contained in a draft policy to regulate vehicular carbon emissions in the country.
Carbon emissions contribute to climate change and have serious consequences for humans and their environment. Although it is an essential ingredient for photosynthesis, a study conducted by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency shows that carbon emissions in the form of carbon dioxide make up for more than 80% of the greenhouse gases emitted in the United States. The burning of fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. In Ghana, the transport sector is said to be the highest contributor to air pollution due to the concentration of sulfur content in fuels used. The two-day workshop, which brought together stakeholders from the academia, MMDA's transport sector and government, is aimed at addressing the phenomenon. The executive director of EPA, John Pwaman, said the carbon emission levels in the country has become alarming, hence the need for legislative framework to regulate vehicle emissions.
What we're trying to do with the DVLA, the Ghana Standards Authority, and also with the Attorney General's Department, is to transform the guidelines that we have into law, so that when you take your vehicle for renewal of the vehicle license, they will be tested in addition to the other tests that they do. They will test them also for the emissions. These equipment are available now, and currently we are testing them on a pilot basis just for trial. But when the law comes, it will become mandatory.
He said the agency would collaborate with the police to apprehend and penalize users of old rickety vehicles. Chief Director of the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Levin Owusu, who represented the sector minister, is positive the draft policy will receive the necessary implementation.
Air pollution has become one of the world's largest single environmental and health risks. Therefore, reducing air pollution from various sources, including the transport sector, through implementation of standards and regulations, amongst others, could save millions of lives.
United Nations Environment Program Officer David Rupia wants attention paid to activities that destroy the ecosystem.
There are many ways to address it. It's also a conversation about how we are moving around. If we are choosing to move around in individual cars, as opposed to getting into good public transport, as opposed to using non-motorized transport, walking and cycling where we can, and also moving to newer, lower emission technologies such as electric mobility and other lower emission methods.
Key stakeholders affirm the drafted policy will be sent to Parliament to be passed into law.
Mr. Emmanuel Apo is the Deputy Director in charge of water environment quality at the EPA and a focal person on this policy. He's joining us on the telephone lines now. Good evening, sir, and thank you extremely. So tell me what prompted this draft policy, which is aimed at regulating vehicular carbon emissions in the country, and why this time in particular?
Yes, Ghana has, the fleet of vehicles in Ghana is increasing. For the past, since 2005, it's been increasing from over 500,000 vehicles. Now we have over 2 million vehicles in the system. And every vehicle normally taking some fuel and burn the fuel and emit the waste, what we call the waste or the exhaust gases. So these gases have some detrimental effect on humans, can affect human health and as well as the environment. So all over the world, controls have been put onto vehicles so that emissions can be reduced to the barest minimum. Fortunately, in Ghana, we didn't have any standards. But in the statute books, the laws, you can have, under the road safety, talk about visible smoke that comes from the vehicles. And visible smoke, how do you define a visible smoke? And it's become very, very difficult. So there was a need to get standards and regulations to be able to implement the existing law. So we came out with standards, did a lot of tests, a lot of data collection from 2006 up till now. So we have a chunk of data now to determine our own levels and the standard that we have. So this standard has now, the draft has been developed and is now awaiting for us to gazette it and then also come out with the regulations to implement the standard.
Right, I know the EPA means well, but I mean, one of the biggest problems in Ghana is enforcement of regulations. I recall that there were initiatives or overtures for Ghana to ban the use of second-hand tires. But as of today, we're still using second-hand tires in Ghana. So the policy now, you are telling us, is targeting individuals who use rickety vehicles, and they're going to have to pay some fines or some other punitive measures. How long will it take to enforce such a regulation whilst the existing vehicles are still within the system and still polluting our environment?
There are two things here. First of all, probably you also have to correct my name. My name is APPOH. I'm watching from the screen. It seems it's wrong. And then what we know is that if you don't have anything at all, you cannot even enforce. So we need to get the standards and the regulations. And every standards and regulations, like we have in roadworthy certificates, that we normally get for our vehicles to ensure that our cars are roadworthy. This will go in line with it. So as part of all the examinations that they are doing, one major thing that is not being done at all is the exhaust emission measurements. Though it is done but on advisory notes because the standards was not there. So when we get the standards now, it can be compared with what we have, and then we can advise vehicle owners on the status of their vehicle, because if you compare, there are certain indicators that will tell you the performance of the vehicle. You tell the owner, and you go and fix it and come back, then you will have good economy of the vehicle, because when the fuels are unbent well, it emits a lot of emissions into the atmosphere, which affects human health and the environment. But if these emissions are bent very well, if the fuels are bent very well, you have less emissions, and then you can have few liters of fuel to cover a lot of kilometers. So it brings savings to the owners of the vehicle. It also brings comfortability also to the passengers in the vehicle. If the vehicle is leaking and producing more gas, and you are inside the car, you are equally affected. Those outside are equally affected. Everybody is at risk. So there's the need to have these standards, the need also to create a lot of awareness creation. As you can see on the screen, if you are following such a vehicle and it's emitting like that, definitely you're going to be affected. The people in the vehicle are also going to be affected, and everybody is going to be affected. And it doesn't augur well for the citizens in the country.
Right, Mr. Apostle, I'd like to know what responses you're getting from the major stakeholders about this document.
Yeah, we had a workshop yesterday and today to look at the draft that we had. We had a lot of very positive response, positive input from the various stakeholders that we have made. We have not finished. It will go back to Ghana Standards Authority, the National Technical Committee. In fact, they sat on it, worked on it, we brought it, we sent some to other stakeholders. They all bring their comments, and then we would then collect all these comments, finalize it, and then send it for gazettation, and then promulgate the regulations also through Parliament. So there are processes that it has to go through it before it finally becomes law in the country. So we're doing, the consultation is going on. Some people have gotten copies of them. They will review. Others will have to be contacted based on the workshop that we had yesterday and today. To contact extra and open the basket to receive a lot of comments that we should do to perfect what we have, and so that when we implement them, it becomes easier. And of course, any standard that comes also we need awareness creation. So we do a lot of awareness creation before implementation.
Right, Mr. Emmanuel, we're grateful.
We do a lot of awareness creation.
Right, Mr. Emmanuel, we're grateful for your time. Emmanuel is Director of Water, Deputy Director of Water and Environment at the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. I'm Stephen Enti. This is News at 10. We have more news for you. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, residents around flood-prone areas are calling on the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to do more to bring lasting solutions to flooding in the capital. Their calls follow the release of a list of safe havens by the AMA to provide safety during heavy rains.
Following Monday's rainfall, which claimed the lives of 6 people in the capital, the AMA has declared the Independence Square as one of the safe havens that people could run to in the case of flooding. Now, I am here at the Independence Square to find out how prepared this place is to host people, and also to find out from Ghanaians if they think that this place is a good place to host people in the case of rain.
It's a nice opinion, but to me, I don't abide to their decision. Simple because Ghanaians, we normally like temporary, keeping like a temporary solution. And I don't like a temporary solution. We should have a permanent solution to our problems.
Anything at all can happen on your way coming to Independence Square. When it happens that wind blows over and takes some things that could break your head or could wound you, then what do you do in the process?
It's very bad and dangerous because this place is an open place. Anyone can come here at any time. They can be attacked or something like that, but I think during the afternoon, that one is like there's light and everything, so definitely when someone is harming them, they can see it, but during the night, it's very, very dangerous.
At Kolebu, the Indafa Park, which is to host residents, has no sign of a shelter. Residents said though the temporal solution may work, government must do more.
If they believe that the park is good, then fine. But we may get there and face another trouble, which won't be good at all. Honestly, when it rains and you go to the park, it is not good at all. The authorities have to find a better solution.
Management of the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex said they had not received any notification from the AMA declaring the place as a safe haven.
At the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex, which is supposed to cater for North Kaneshie, construction works going on does not provide any shade or shelter for residents in the area in case of rain. This is contrary to what the AMA has said.
And my colleague Alfred Akansi on News 360 spoke with the public relations officer of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Gilbert Ni Ankra. Let's take a listen.
So you've seen the areas that you identified as safe havens for residents in flood-prone areas. Some of them you haven't even contacted them that these are areas residents can come to anytime there's flooding. Some you saw there's no preparation whatsoever to house residents who will run there for shelter. What did you take into consideration before identifying these? And what measures have you put in place in these safe havens?
To ensure that wherever you find yourself, in the event of flooding, these are higher grounds that will be able to take care of persons. And that is the main motive for issuing out that particular artwork you saw or that very information. People may say the place, this was done in collaboration with NADBO. So plans have been put in place to ensure that these places are prepared. And
I see.
As it said, in the event of flooding. So it is a continuous process.
Mr. Ankra, Kaneshie, I mean, the Azuma Nelson Sports Stadium, is that a higher ground per your definition of what higher ground is?
That, I said, was in collaboration of NADBO. So they are technical men who really determined that these, and don't forget, this is not anything new. These are old information, and it has been released out not just yesterday. So this is nothing new that the Assembly is trying to put out. These are old safe havens that we already know.
In as much as this move is worth commending, what we want to find out is whether these places are actually aware, those who manage these places are aware that they are supposed to be hosting residents whenever there's flooding in the area.
There is that consultation, and for that I can assure you.
Thank you for your time.
Unbelievable responses there from the AMA. It's like you're in your house and then you're just being told that your house is a high ground. So everybody converge there without any preparations to ensure that everyone who turns up there would be safe. We do hope that in the event of a flood, the AMA can put in place the necessary structures that will provide more safety and shade for those who turn up there. But let's go to Bawku now, where one person has been shot dead at Kariama, a suburb of Bawku, following sporadic gunshots in the area. The event occurred between 11 and 12 midnight Tuesday. The deceased is yet to be identified, but is believed to be in his mid-20s. The Bawku Divisional Commander, Chief Superintendent Yao Tetega, says although there were speculations the attack was linked to an ethnic conflict, the police were treating the case purely as a criminal matter. So that's how we wrap up with News at 10. I'm Stephen Enti. Russia Daily follows up shortly after News at 10. Thanks very much for making time. On behalf of the crew, good night, and there is more news at 3news.com.